This week's episode is about our common humanity, how we are all brothers, sisters, siblings in Christ. I'm Rachael Keefe, and this is Monday's Muse. I've just returned from another vigil of a person murdered by a police officer right here in South Minneapolis. And this was a vigil like none of the others I've been to before. Partly because I was still thinking about the church service this morning that I began with a children's sermon talking about how we are to treat one another as brothers, sisters, siblings, family. And the kids were really amazed by that concept. So with these thoughts and others, I went to this vigil where a white woman who called the police for assistance because she heard an assault or something violent taking place near her house ended up being shot by those police officers that she called. And the police are strangely silent about the details. I just want to remind you that I am shooting this on Sunday night, and you may have heard more information by the time you're viewing this on Monday or later in the week. But at this time, there's no information. And as the family and neighbors of this person gathered, there was a strange disconnect that was going on. Those who were grieving, in their shocked disbelief, only wanted to hold space for love and light, to honor the woman who died. And there's nothing wrong with that. But there were others who were trying to connect the dots, who were trying to say, this has happened to us, and now it has happened to you, and there must be justice. And there was resistance to that message. We can somehow believe the narrative that when a police officer shoots a person of color, they somehow deserve it. And I had this feeling like people were waiting for the excuse for the death of this woman so they could somehow excuse it, because it couldn't possibly be true that this culture of policing by fear has permeated into white middle-class neighborhoods. And I just wanted to shout out with those who are also sharing this message that we are one. And people of color have been saying they can come for our fathers and mothers and brothers and sisters and sons and daughters and cousins and uncles. They're going to come for you. And I can't help but hear those words of Martin Niemöller in my head. First they came for this and I wasn't that, so I said nothing. And then they came for me and there was no one left. Friends, we must unite in our common humanity. We must remember that God created all human beings in the image of God, that we are connected spiritually, if not physically. The more we learn about DNA, the more we know how connected we truly are. These issues of race are created by human beings, fostered in ignorance for people with power to keep us divided so that they can remain in power. If we want a world that is full of peace and justice for all humanity, we must unite. We must stand up when anyone is a victim of violence, particularly violence by police officers. And we must demand a new way, a better way, a way that sees humanity first. We can change this. We can change this by joining forces with our neighbors, be they white, be they people of color, be they people who are born in this country or elsewhere. It does not matter. Look for the humanity first, because when you see the humanity, you will also see the divine, and it becomes much harder to excuse injustice and murder. Let us work together to insist that our system of policing changes, that this culture of fear that ends up with innocent people dead ends. And it will only end when we break the silence. Because if you remain silent and you buy into the narrative that is told to us by the systems of power, then you remain complicit. So let's work together, break the silence, and recognize our common humanity. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week.